Now you bring up Dorian, who has an interesting personality. Also, I wonder, did you ever get a chance to know Dorian much because he
Yeah,
was sort of, oh, you did as well, and
and
he made recent. So he's, I know you're Jewish. Your background is Jewish. He's made some comments.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what your response to that is, because a lot of people don't know what to think.
I was very shocked. In fact, I didn't believe it at first. A friend of mine who's a Jewish bodybuilder sent me this note saying that Dorian is a raving anti-Semite. He's a Nazi. And then I remembered that Dorian had mentioned to me in an interview in his youth he was a skinhead. He told me he even had like swastika tattoos and shit. And at first I said, well, Dorian, one of his really good friends was a IFBB judge. He stayed at his house named Steve Weisberger, who's Jewish. I said, I don't see any anti-Semitism. He never, Dorian knew I was Jewish. He never showed it. He was very friendly to me. He never showed any. I found it hard to believe. But then I read what it boiled down to was two things. And the first thing was that Dorian believed that the Israel was mistreating the Palestinians, which a lot of people agree with that. You know what I mean? So I don't take a position on that, because I'd rather not talk about something where I don't know the inner details. Yeah. In other words, that's a possibility. In other words, the other thing though really shocked me, because Dorian said it was alluding that the Holocaust never existed, and that's a classic anti-Semitic remark. And my jaw dropped when I saw that, and his reasoning was so poor. And I always consider, again, Dorian to be a very intelligent guy. He reasons. I mean, that's how he came up with the way he trains. He reasoned about the amount he wanted to get the least amount of exercise to produce the best results and not waste time. He reasons a lot. He thinks things out. And I'm thinking, how could a guy be so, proficient in reasoning out work, training, and nutrition, and yet not look at the details behind the Holocaust? It didn't add up, But honestly, I mean, I lost a little bit of respect for Dorian when I read that, when I saw that it was true. Maybe if I see him in person again, I'll ask him about that. Maybe he can explain the details. But, again, the only thing I can tell you is I saw him interact with plenty of Jewish people, including myself. Now, honestly, full disclosure, I was born Jewish, but I haven't followed the religion in let's see, how long has it been? 60 years. So, I'd have to put Jewish in parentheses because I don't follow any religion at all. Although if you said, I guess you could say I'm Jewish because I was born Jewish. Yeah. So, but but in other words, I've seen Dorian interact with many Jews, and I never saw any antagonism, no attitude, nothing. So it's hard to explain that thing about the Holocaust. What I can tell you is, generally speaking, Dorian is a great guy. He's very intelligent, and fantastic, unbelievable bodybuilder, of course. I still like the guy. I just don't understand that Holocaust position. I just don't understand that.
It's an interesting subject, actually. Some people have brought that up to me. I've encountered people. For some reason, I encounter a lot of conspiracy theorists. Yeah. And one of the conspiracy theories is about the Holocaust. I feel I'm not very educated on the subject, but I think that the reason why it's popular is because of, like you said, the first subject, which is the worldwide, it's a minority opinion, but it's strongly held about the human rights abuses in Israel for the native Palestinians. Right. And of course, any Jewish person that you interact with will tell you, well, we need a strong state of Israel because of what happened to us. And because when we weren't strong, when we didn't use game theory, when we weren't developing a militaristic edge to protect us, we got taken advantage of for millennia. Right. Whereas the other people on the other side have no sympathy for this. Right. Because they see their brethren, 4 million Palestinian refugees around the world, have no home, they're poor. I've met a lot of these people myself in my lifetime. So I think that controversy gives people an intention to sort of rewrite history. And then there's also this opinion, because there's such a strong Jewish lobby, like the Anti-Defamation League and so on, that, for example, when Jimmy Carter, the ex-president of the United States, published the book Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid, the Anti-Defamation League got all on his case, and they really tried to censor the publicity around the book. So there's this kind of feeling like they start to develop an idea that there's a world order controlled like media is controlled by these people, and so I think this is like a reverse movement toward it. But I also get a lot of people telling me that lizards control the world. So there's a lot of kind of things.
I'm not into conspiracy theories myself, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, a lot of anti-Semites, they like to say the Jews control everything. The Jews control the banks. I've heard for years that the Jews control all the movie studios, for example. And the funny thing about it is a lot of the executives who run the movie studios just happen to be Jewish. And the people that actually developed Hollywood, the original movie moguls, if you want to call them, happen to be all Jews. They were. The guy who started Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, which is the other one, Columbia, Harry Cotton, they were all Jews. So there's something to that part, you know what I mean? But
but the thing is, Ashkenazi Jews are the most productive. I made a video about intelligence recently, and I mentioned that the most intelligent nationality in the world is, like nations, are East Asian nations in terms of IQ, in terms of G. But actually, the most intelligent people are Ashkenazi Jews by far. And they're the most, if we didn't have Ashkenazi Jews, a lot of the scientific achievements of the last 100 years would not exist. I mean, a lot. Like, people can't.
Wasn't Einstein an Ashkenazi Jew?
Of course, yeah. And not just Einstein. I mean, everybody was, actually, almost everybody.
I'll tell you something funny about that. And I'll preface this remark by saying it's a huge, broad generalization. It's not a scientific fact. But I think my Jewish heritage has instilled in something where I have this drive I've had all my life. I have to be going forward. I have to be doing something. I have to be working every day. I cannot sit around and watch TV like some people do and do nothing. I actually get antsy, I get uncomfortable, and I get actually stressed out if I'm not doing something productive. And at first I said, is this just me? And then I noticed a lot of Jews have the same. That's why a lot of them become very successful in business. They're very driven. I can't really explain it. I don't think it comes from a base of, a lot of times people who are poor get that type of attitude too. In the case of Jews, I don't think it's poverty. It's something ingrained in them. Maybe it's because they went through hardship so many over the millennia, as you know the history. I don't know what it is, but there's something deep inside me. And my girlfriend laughs about this. I just cannot sit still. I mean, I have to be doing, if I'm not researching, I'm writing, I'm editing, I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm doing something every single day. It's 365 days. I cannot sit around and do nothing. Now, I'm not going to tell you I don't watch a movie or look at an occasion, but I do that after all my work is done. I'm disciplined like that. I will not do anything that doesn't move me forward until I finish my essential work. Let me put it that way. And I've been like this all my life.
That's incredible to hear. That's really, I've observed this, and I don't know if it's genetic or cultural, but the most productive people I've come across, other than maybe Japanese very productive as well.
Yes, true.
But in the West, at least. And I wish I could say the same. I'm just like you. If I'm not going forward, I feel antsy. But right. My Semitic side is less productive than your Semitic side. My Semitic side is the cousins of the Jews, the Arabs, are less into that productivity. In fact, actually, you'll see the Sephardic Jews are also slightly less productive, the ones, or the Mizrahi.
Well, that's what I meant when I said, I'm generalized, because obviously there's many Jews that.
Yeah, but the Jews in the Middle East don't have quite the same level of productivity as the Ashkenazi Jews.
I'll tell you something funny, though. And again, maybe it's a coincidence, but as you pointed out earlier, there's a lot of homeless people. I'm in Venice.
Yeah.
And right in front of Gold's Gym, there's tents all over the place of homeless people right now, as we speak, right? And for some reason, I've spoken to a lot of these, and I'm generalizing. I haven't spoken to all of them. There's thousands of them here. But I know this sounds funny. I've never run across a single Jew living on the street. Not one. Not one. I'm sure it's a coincidence. I'm sure there must be somewhere. I've never encountered them. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with what we're talking about. And yes, let me quickly add, so people don't criticize, there's plenty of Jews that are slovenly and lazy. But for some reason, the ones that I've run into in my life, they maybe they're not as aggressive as me as far as productivity, but they very rarely do nothing. They're always trying to do something. It's very rare that you encounter a Jew who just wants to sit around, watch TV, and drink beer, and do nothing. But they do exist. I just haven't seen any. That's all I can say.
I can give also, to back this up, there's a book called The Triumph of Christianity by Ehrman or something like that. In that book, I read an interesting quote from a Roman emperor who was either just before Constantine, or who was the first Christian Roman emperor, or he was one of the emperors after him that brought back, I think it's the latter, that brought back paganism. And this man was remarking that the Jews in the Roman Empire, and this is around 300 AD, that you would never find a Jew homeless, and that they always take care of their own. And it was shameful that the pagans would not do the same thing that you find. So this is fascinating. It's been going on for 2 millennia now.